Members of NYSCOBA are sworn to maintain the care, custody, and control of these dangerous individuals, and in order to do so safely and effectively, they require the support of our elected leaders. But unfortunately, the New York State Legislature has failed them. Now, I'd like to make something clear, that this is not political spin. This isn't some dangerous narrative being pushed by an advocacy group. The proof is in the numbers. Here's some facts. As a baseline, the New York State prison inmate population has dropped from just under 55,000 in 2012 to just over 34,000 in 2020. With that in mind, assaults on staff are up from 524 incidents in 2012 to 1,047 incidents in 2020. That's a 100% increase, with 20,000 less inmates in the system. The first 3 months in 2021, we're up to 242 assaults on staff, right on pace with last year. If you look at maximum security facilities across the state, similar to Greenhaven, assaults have risen from 552 in 2016 to 772 in 2020. Currently, in the first 3 months of 2021, we're up to 194, which is on pace for a new record. It's not just inmate on staff assaults that are a concern as well. In the past 6 years, inmate on inmate assaults have risen over 100%. Again, with 20,000 less inmates in the system. Mind you, these are the state's numbers. These are not cherry-picked quotes or facts from national organizations or advocacy groups. These are state's numbers that are not here to fit any type of story. While the numbers are increasing at a rapid pace, some of the more recent events behind those numbers are even more frightening. Here's just a handful of incidents at Greenhaven in the past 2 weeks. On April 14th, 5 officers were injured while trying to subdue an inmate that assaulted a female supervisor. One of the officers shattered his knee and is likely to never walk again without some degree of pain. On April 19th, a female civilian doctor who was there to treat inmates was attacked in the stairwell by an individual who is a convicted sexual predator. Had it not been for officers that were nearby to hear this innocent woman's screams, the outcome could have been much, much worse. On April 24th, 2 more attacks on officers. One where the officer was beaten unconscious and left lying in a pool of his own blood on the cell block floor. It goes without saying that our thoughts and prayers are with each and every one of these innocent victims and their families. I know a lot of these individuals personally. It rips me up inside each time I get a call and I'm told that one of my brothers or sisters in blue are being sent home in an ambulance. These are our friends, our co-workers, our families, our neighbors that are just trying to do a job that is already being done in an extreme environment. And the reason I stand here today is to let everyone know that we will no longer sit idly by. Something needs to change because no one deserves to be subjected to this type of hostile workplace. No one should have to come home and explain to their spouse why they have stitches or staples in their face. No one should have to explain to their kids that they can't play in the backyard because they have broken bones from work the night before. Sadly, incidents like these have become commonplace in New York State. These dangerous criminals are taking advantage of the situation, and even though they're incarcerated, they are still hurting innocent people. Unfortunately, these highlighted only a fraction of the dangerous working conditions the men and women of NYSCOBA face each and every day. The latest challenge facing our membership is the impending implementation of the HALT legislation passed by the state legislature just last month and ultimately signed into law. The HALT legislation was and is based on a false narrative. The advocacy community and the legislators misled the public into believing that solitary confinement was used in the prison system, which is unequivocally false. The HALT legislation passed does nothing, absolutely nothing, to improve the lives of the individuals who reside in the prison system. It only emboldens the most dangerous individuals who will now use it to prey on the inmates and staff with absolute impunity. The special housing units, which the advocacy community continues to misrepresent as solitary confinement, often tethering them to Google images of prisons from third world countries or Hollywood movies, are actually a vital tool used to protect staff and other inmates from the most dangerous prisoners in our system, used only when all other disciplinary sanctions have been exhausted. Now, with HALT legislation being implemented, the violent predators that lurk inside the walls of the prison system have little to no consequences for their actions. This is not a fear-mongering tactic. This is not a political attack. These concerns are based on facts and numbers, not rhetoric. More innocent people will be hurt. More staff will suffer debilitating injuries. More inmates will fall victim to inmate-on-inmate crime. We've called on the legislature to address the rising violence in our prison systems. Our organization has advocated the legislature for years that the conditions are only getting worse and that we wanted safer working environments for not just the staff but for the inmates as well. But as you can see, these reforms have only led to more violence, more innocent people being hurt, and the impending implementation of HALT will only cause irreversible damage. So the time to act is now. The legislature has ignored our requests, our pleas, to truly educate them on what reality is for the men and women of Nice-Scopa. Instead, they've caved to false narratives and appear to have based their decisions based on emotion rather than facts. Our organization has no choice but to look into every possible avenue to correct the injustices that have occurred, whether it be legal recourse or a campaign to correct the public record. We will do whatever is necessary because we have the truth on our side, and the facts speak for themselves.